All right, so let's get the session started, right? And I'll keep it straight to the point, precise. One, or rather, let me ask you a couple of questions. How many of you are content creators? How many of you are freelancers? Are you a student? If you can just tell me a little bit about you, then I can curate the session accordingly. Thank you, Shubhranil. Freelancer, okay. All right, Diksha is a freelancer, and Ayushi is a freelancer, content writer, YouTuber, video editing. Okay, Panchil. Okay, amazing, amazing. All right, so folks, just a very quick introduction about me. It's good to know about all of you. So, very quick introduction about me, and then I'll explain very briefly what we are going to do on this session. I would spend majority of the time taking or doing the Q&A. That would be the primary agenda, so that I can curate my responses as per what is being asked. So about me, so I've been a consultant. So I've been a management consultant. So I've worked with Government of India initially. Then I went to INSEAD. Then before going to INSEAD, I worked with BCG for a little bit. Then I went to INSEAD, joined Dalberg in Singapore. So that is what my journey has been. That I initially, in the first half of my career, I was a consultant. I was a management consultant. Then from 2018 onwards, I started building a lot of digital businesses, right, which rake in more than $1 million a year. So that has been my journey, right? And very recently, I started doing YouTube also. I started writing on LinkedIn also. The response has been really great. Many of you might know me from these platforms. So that is what my background has been, right? So in the context of this journey of building like digital ventures and being present on YouTube and LinkedIn, I've had an opportunity to work with a lot of freelancers. For example, in my YouTube journey, a lot of editors support me, right? So I get to interact and engage with them. I also a lot of content creators reach out to me on LinkedIn also, trying to understand more about my strategy of creating content, bunch of different things, right? So in that context, I have been in touch with a lot of freelancers, right? So I understand the worldview that they present. That's point one. Second point is that from 2018 onwards, so this entire concept of working from home became like very famous after the COVID crisis. But before COVID, there were very few people who were truly working from home. So I had been doing it from 2018, right? So that is my journey, right? About me. So okay, hey, thanks, Divyansh. All right. So that is about me. And basically, what I wanted to establish was that I have been a content creator. I have interacted with a lot of content creators, freelancers, and I understand this digital space. And I, like, if some of you follow me on YouTube, you would understand that I talk a lot about investing and investments. So, everything fits together for this particular session, which is financial planning for creators and freelancers. So that is about me, very quick word. Now, very quick, what we are going to cover on this session is that I'm just going to speak in like a bullet point format. I'm going to speak about some key points about financial planning for people who are involved in the gig economy space. Let's not even call it like content creators slash freelancers, etc. Let's call it gig economy, right? So gig economy essentially means that what you're like dependent on yourself in order to make money. You're most likely you're working from home or are like freelancing from some office. That is usually the format in which you would exist, right? And the cash flow or the money that you make, it's very cyclical. It's not established. It's not as if that you're getting a salary. So how do we manage our finances as per this? Now, a very quick shout out to Ticker Tape. So they are the ones who have brought together this session for Pepper Content and brought me here. So Ticker Tape is running like a program. So Ticker Tape is essentially a stock analysis platform. They provide you various tools if you're investing in stock market to make investments in the stock market. So they are running a promotion where you can use Ticker Tape Pro for free, right, for the month of November. So go and try it out, right? So that's it. Okay. So okay. Now coming to the topic. Now topic simply is that, hey, how do we manage our finances? And I'll keep it practical, right? I'll just honestly like speak for 10 minutes maybe, right, and speak about some very key important points that I've realized through my own journey about financial planning for gig economy people. That's one, right? And post that, we will do a Q&A, right? Okay. So here are important points, right? One, we need to understand the nature of our work and how it differs from the nature of the work that salaried people have, right? For example, if you're working with the government or if you're working with some stable company, right? For example, if you're working with something like, let's say, ITC or HUL, or if you're working at McKinsey, then probably you can estimate your cash flows that every month I'm going to make like 1 lakh or 50,000 or 20,000, whatever that money is. You would be able to fix that. But as a freelancer or as a gig economy person, establishing that is really, really tough, right? And that can lead to a lot of stress, right? Even I went through this stress quite a lot when I was building my digital ventures. So the first and foremost point about financial planning that I would like to tell you is that, and here is the first key point, that you must try to diversify your income sources, right? Financial planning also involves earning money, right? So the first key thing, and which is fairly obvious, that you must diversify your income sources, especially if you're relying on certain platforms. For example, if your entire income comes from YouTube, or if your entire income comes from Instagram, or if your entire income comes from just video editing, then probably, some change, some algorithmic change might happen on the platform, and next day you are just out of work, so to say. So this is literally the first point that we must all keep in mind. Very, very important for all of us to explore building multiple income streams. Now, I'm not saying that go and build like multi-million dollar income streams, like and have 15, 20 of those. No, nothing like that. But at least keep evolving, right? That's the first key point. Which brings me to the second point, that how do you operationalize this goal? So the second point here is that, you must move forward, right? It should act like a ladder, right? It should not happen that one day you're doing video editing and next day you start doing like writing like codes for something, right? And trying to sell like a free software. Yes, you can do it, but the amount of effort in path A versus path B, which is video editing and designing software, it's completely different. These are not related skills, so to say, right? So the growth needs to be organic too. For example, if let's say that you're a graphic designer, right, and you're designing thumbnails, bunch of different things, and then you're progressing to, let's say, creating content on YouTube, that's an organic growth. Similarly, if you then move to a third income stream, which is editing videos, that's a organic growth. So keep this point in mind. I'm not dissuading you from exploring other income streams, but point two here is fairly simple, that you must ensure that the income streams that you're creating, these need to be integrated, right? So this is point number two. Now comes the third point, right? Which is that, okay, now you have your income stream going. How do you mitigate risk? Because this is again very important due to the fact that our income streams are irregular, right? Some months we might be making a lot of money, some other months we might be making very less money. So how do we manage finances as per that? So it's very important to have a tab, right? I mean, please ensure, and this is what I would do, that please ensure that you have, like, you divide your income into, or rather you divide your expenses into core and non-core expenses, right? And create an emergency fund, right? So core expenses would be that, for example, like I'm assuming majority of you are students. um, so this might not apply to you, but if let's say that you are a or let's say that you're married, you have a kid, and the core expense become paying the school fee, right? So that is a core expense, you can't do away with that. Similarly, if Netflix is not a core expense, right, so probably you can do away with that. So have a very clear categorization of your core versus non-core expenses and budget accordingly, and create an emergency fund, right? This is very important point, so let me segregate this into point four. So emergency fund building simply means that you have like around 6 to 12 months of your income as savings tucked away somewhere, which you are not touching, right? This is not money that you have invested in stocks or bonds or like bunch of other instruments. This is literally like fixed deposit money, right? That you create an FD out of it, keep it liquid, done, right? So this is like literally the fourth point, that hey, have like an emergency fund ready, right? Fifth and final point is that once you have a little bit of income stream going, you understand things that, hey, okay, this is what my cash flow is, this is what my core expenses are. Whatever is left, try to take a front heavy approach. So front heavy approach means that when you are in the early part of your life, so let's say that you're a college student right now, making 20,000 rupees from your freelancing gigs, right? And you are saving, and your core expenses are, let's say, 10,000 rupees. Then you are left with 10,000 rupees, right? So try to save and invest as much as possible in the early part of your life, because it gives you compounding benefits. Now I'll not explain what compounding benefits are, but basically it means that you are building that safety net quickly. And the more safety net that you have, the more flexibility it gives you in terms of the type of work that you want to pursue. Let me give you an example, right? So many of you might be working with brands, many of you would be working with clients that are just literally headaches, right? So they will make you do like they will pay you 1 rupee and expect work of 10 rupees right out of you, and so many changes, this that. Now at the start it's okay, right? I mean, to take that kind of work to make a little bit of money, but you can't constantly do it. Now how do you get to a stage where you have the power to say no? That comes from ensuring that you have invested well and you have enough base or enough safety net where you're cool with it, right? Where you don't have to take on such clients. So these are like some of the key points that I wanted to cover, right, on this very short, brief talk. Now, what I will do is that if you have any questions, I'm more than happy taking some questions from you, right? And then we will continue the conversation. But these are some of the key points that I hope that you have made some notes of. If someone can summarize it, that would be wonderful. But yeah, over to all of you. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer. Thank you, Abhishek. All right. So I just wanted to keep it short, right? I mean, I did not want to. Where can we look to invest as a student? Okay, okay, so we are getting some good questions. All right, so let me start with Maliha's questions, right? So Maliha questions. So okay, so where can we look to invest as a student? So see, whether you are a student, whether you are a working professional, whether you are a 60, 70, 80-year old person, your investment options are still the same, right? So you will either invest in some kind of, so most, I'll start from the easiest, right? That hey, go and invest your money in fixed deposit. Easiest, but it gives you the lowest returns. So you need to explore slightly more risky options. So this becomes buying debt or equity, which is stock market, right? Here, risk is also slightly higher, but returns are also slightly higher. So you need to educate yourself, right? And then finally comes like cryptocurrencies. That is another avenue. Two, three key points that you need to remember that see, it's not like blind trading. It's not as if that you're going into a casino and trading your money in stock market or just putting your money in a cryptocurrency. You need to be educated. You need to learn. You need to have knowledge, and only then start doing it. Otherwise, you are just literally like sort of playing like a casino game there. So please don't do that. These are your basic investment options. Couple of other points to keep in mind here is that please, when you're a student, you can only invest in fractional amount. So fractional amount means that, for example, if you want to buy a property in Delhi, it costs you 2 crores. So you can't do it, right, as a student, most likely. Now, what can you do? You can go and buy like stocks, right, which is worth 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000, right? You can easily do that. So start small, start with liquid things, and over time you will learn as you are investing more. But most important key takeaway is that please build knowledge, only then get into all this game. Okay, so what are best sources to learn finances and branding? So follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube. You will learn a lot. So that's one. That's what I can say. There are a bunch of courses, right? You can take, learn from good people, interact, engage with them. People who have successfully built digital businesses, people who have successfully done something good in the content space. I think you will learn the most by observing their style. Okay. All right. So I've gotten a question. I'm 23. Since COVID, I have an added responsibility of paying our house loan. It's a good idea to get rid of the home loan by selling the house and start saving. Okay, I'll struggle to pay it without having anything left. Okay, this is a very interesting question, and it's a very complex question for me to answer because I don't know at what rate of interest you have taken the home loan, at what price will you be able to sell your house, etc. But generally speaking, see, if you're getting like a good good price for your house, it's right now the housing market is such that you're not getting too much return in terms of owning a property. So it's a renter market, not a buyer market. So if you're getting good price for your house, do it. If you can't sell it, then repay your loan as soon as you can, right? Which is your preferred form of leverage, code versus media? Okay, I'm not a coder, so media I would say, right? So, but really depends from person to person. Okay, so people financial content and become a fin influencer. How do you plan your content to create your mode? See, folks, I basically whatever I'm doing in the market, I talk about. I genuinely make investments, so I show people and I talk about it, explain my rationale. That's my simple mode, right? I would say. Okay, so how do you understand taxes? Honestly, I don't know much, Prashanti, about taxes. I'm like bad at taxes. That my CA's work. He handles it. Yeah, I have a very nice CA. He gets it done. But honestly, like if you're investing via Zerodha or any other trading platform, then they help you just build a PNL report, right? So PNL tax report. So you can find it on the platform itself. So that's very easy to do. Okay, what are the best resources to learn finances? Okay, this I've answered. Okay. Mhm. As a freelancer, how do you take care of your taxes? Okay, so Janvi, I have a CA. So honestly, this question is not relevant for me from that perspective. But honestly, I don't think that tax filing should be really complex. If the decision that you might have to make is that how do you register your firm, right? Are you registering it as a corporation? Are you registering it as a proprietorship? So your tax treatment of your business will change accordingly. If you have GST filing, then of course you have to file it every month. All that headache is there, right? So really complex question from that angle, because it depends on how you're making money as a freelancer. If you're making more than 20 lakhs a year, then of course you have to get your GST registration done. Where can I park for maximum return without risking capital? So if you want to take zero risk or like less risk with your capital or least risk with your capital, fixed deposits, right? If you want to take slightly more risk, then park it in like liquid debt funds. How to get clients on LinkedIn? Okay, I don't get clients on LinkedIn, so I'm a bad person to ask that. What type of clients you're speaking about? If you can talk about that, because a lot of people do get clients on LinkedIn, right? But I've built like literally cases over coffee, which is one of my ventures through LinkedIn, right? So at that point in time, I was not even active on YouTube. So honestly, like LinkedIn at the end of the day, it's a content game. If you're able to create really good content, engage people, then you will get traction, right? So as long as you're creating good content, you're good to. How do you understand your expenses? Okay, so you need to categorize it, Amrita, right? So this could be core expenses, non-core expenses, or you can categorize into tier 1, 2, 3 expenses, right? So tier one or like most important expenses would be paying your, so you're from IIM Calcutta, so it would be paying your tuition fee, right? You have to do it, you can't drop out, right? So that's one. You have to pay like eat food, so that is basic, right? I don't know, if you need to like fill petrol in your bike or something, right? So that's important, or it might be tier two expense. Then you can have like little bit of discretionary spending also. So park it or like bifurcate it in this method. Okay, that's okay. Am I getting more? Okay, so I have a good question from Nivedita. I'm working as a full-time content writer. I work with blogs. What would be the best way to freelance as a side hustle? Do I concentrate? Do I concentrate on variety like blogs alone, or a combination of content formats? See, so Nivedita, I think different people will have a different viewpoint on this, right? I would rather build something niche, right? So I mean, there is no point in like talking about everything. No, so I'll not do that. Okay. Uh, okay, how should someone who is salaried currently but want to move to gig economy plan their finances now for transition? What would you give for someone planning such a transition? So Rahul, you need to have like a slightly bigger emergency fund because you are making a career switch. So for example, if you're, let's say, if you are working at Microsoft and you say that, you know what, I'm going to take a break of 6 months, try out the gig economy. If it works out, great. If not, I'll go to Google, right, or some other firm that is hiring me. So in that scenario, you don't need to have a very big emergency fund. But if let's say that you are working at a job where after this job, you're not going to get another job for a substantial period of time. So keep continuing, then continue to do that job so that you are able to build a bigger emergency fund so that you get more time to run that freelancing experiment. Can I get any opinion on content making or creation? Momita, the best part about content creation is that you can do it on your own. You don't need anyone. So there is like LinkedIn is giving you opportunities, right? On LinkedIn, right? Or any other platform. Okay, is it my main source of income? Is that okay? So with limited generation of income, is it wise to start investing now? If not, when should I opt for investing? Okay. Yeah, Ayush, you should, even if you're doing PhD, even if you can invest like 500 rupees a month, do it. There is no harm in it. Okay, I think I've answered majority of the questions here. Okay. Chinmay says that he content very informative. Thank you. I'm freelance analyst. Okay, thank you. All right. Niche audience and makeup. Okay. How can I leverage to work with brands for long term? So Laksh, that's very interesting. Honestly, I know nothing about makeup, right? So I'm wrong person to take that advice about this industry. Yeah, I'm just a bad person, right? I mean, I can't say anything on this. Yeah. Content monetization. What's your take? Okay, so uh, My take is that I believe in capitalism. That might have flaws, but that's the only economic system that works, unfortunately or fortunately. So yeah, things need to be monetized, because if there are not good people, if good people creating content do not get paid, then what is the incentive for them to create good content, right? So I'll say it again. So if good people creating good content are not getting paid, then what is the incentive for them to create good content, right? So for example, if people have no opportunity to monetize their content on LinkedIn, right, or monetize their content on YouTube, then why is it that they would keep doing it diligently year after year, right? It doesn't make sense. Okay. Da-da-da. Okay. So Kirti has summarized my session really well. Diversify your income sources, grow organically, divide expenses into core, non-core, and create an emergency fund. Take a front-heavy approach to investment. Brilliant. She has covered all the points. Okay, brilliant. Okay. Thank you, Shuchi. Okay. Da-da-da. Okay. But mostly good content is getting massy reach in country. Okay, is not getting mass reach. Okay, but mostly good content is not getting. Okay, see, honestly, like so this is like my understanding. I might be wrong. It's not like, you might feel that your content is great, right? And but the world might not, right? So for example, we can sit and criticize that, what, Neha Kakkar sings like really bad, and but still she's getting like millions of followers. Or Nora Fatehi does not know how to dance. I don't know what people say that, and she's getting like millions and billions of hit. Yeah, I mean, who are we to judge? That's an art, right? So as long as people are getting it, it's fine, right? So I mean, you figure out your way. You try to do whatever works best for you. You try to do the best you can in the niche or area that you're picking. That's all you can do, right? So there's no point, right? I mean, for example, I can't I I I have no rhythm in my body. I can't dance, right? So there is no point in me creating like dance-oriented content, right, or music-related content, so to say. I can create good finance content, so therefore I do it, right? Similarly, if you feel that, hey, I can create like really good makeup-related content, very useful content, keep doing it. At some stage, you will hit like a hockey stick curve where your content starts reaching out to a lot of people. All right, awesome. So, okay, so let me quickly check if we have more Q&A. Okay, any mental model to take purchase decision while investing in gadgets, gears, or business? Okay, mental model to take purchase decisions. Okay, so Raj, honestly, like, see, if it is useful for you, right? For example, I I purchased an iPhone when I had to get on YouTube, right? And from that iPhone, I'd made like close to 200 videos. So my ROI is done with that iPhone. Now, if I decide to buy another iPhone, it's okay for me to purchase that. But if you're a student and you don't have that discretionary spending power as of now, right? Even when I was a student, I did not have any discretionary spending power. Now if I go and purchase an iPhone unnecessarily, right, just, or like I go and purchase like Canon M7 Mark 3D or whatever that gear number is of 3.5 lakhs, there's no point, right, to run that small experiment. So yeah, take like a bootstrap approach, take a little bit of input, right, and yeah, and take it from there. Yeah. Okay, as a content, if you want to invest for 2 years and plan to pursue my master's, how should I plan? As I'm earning 8K through my freelance job, as master's is somewhere are at the back of my. Okay. Okay. See, Snail, what you need to do is that you need to magnify your income streams. Okay. So this literally brings me to the first point that I was saying on my talk, that you need to improve your income streams. That is more important rather than worrying too much about where you currently stand, because there is always growth, right? It's not as if that. So Warren Buffett made 90% of his wealth in the last 10 years, right? So from that angle, you will continue to grow, right? I mean, you're still fairly young, so you'll make the most amount of money as you grow. So you need, at this stage, you need to figure out more avenues to earn money. Out of content, do you feel sometimes out of content? If yes, how do you? Yes, I do all the time, right? So you keep on thinking, right? It's a skill, it's a practice. It is something that comes with practice. Some days you will just be really bad at creating content, but you try your best to create content still, right? So yeah, that's what I would say. There is no magic there. You just have to fight it out. Talk about contracts, because over time I've come across काफी exploitative practice. Okay, I can agree. Contracts can be bad. I don't know of any channel educators. See, don't agree to things that you are not comfortable agreeing to, and ask the brand, right? People that they are asking that are asking you to sign contracts to at least clarify the terms, right? So if you don't understand some term, don't just sign the contract because you might get stuck. What is the best time to start retirement planning? Now, right? So the sooner you start, the better it is. Don't think about retiring as in like, I'll stop working. That will never happen. But think about it as having safety, right? Where you're not running after bad work, or you're not obligated to run after a bad work. Okay. I have my own website, Divyansh. Wonderful. How do I get study flow of projects? Okay. Okay. So see, what I would say is that get hold of slightly bigger influencers, right? Reach out to them, design something for them, right? Ask them to feature your work on their website, or like wherever social media posts, and that will allow you to get more business easily. Okay. Organic growth, am I right? Then what could be the other source of income I can tap into? Okay, so if you're a writer, then you can write ebooks, right? So that's a good income source, right? You can do guest blogging, right? You can, yeah. So I think these two I can think of right off the bat. Any rituals of making financial decisions? Rituals, as in, I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay. So let me quickly check. But mostly good content is not getting message. Okay. Okay. So I think we are pretty much through with the questions. It was a pleasure speaking with all of you. And if there are any final questions, I'll stay back for a couple of minutes and answer those as well. Da, da, da. Okay. Let me see if I have missed anything, any of the questions. I'm in digital marketing. Okay. Uh, are you using content as a way to build distribution? Yes and no, right? So content is, see, honestly, like, sometimes it's okay to do things without a goal, right? For example, if you're writing on LinkedIn with a goal, it's not, for example, if you check my LinkedIn post, it's not as if that, when I'm writing a LinkedIn post, it's done with the intent of, promoting some brand, right? Or like promoting the companies that I'm running. So I don't tag those companies often. For example, I run my MBA journey, I run cases over coffee, invested in different startups, etc. It's not as if that I'm tagging them onto my content, right? Very rarely I would do that, right? So you just do it because you like doing it also, right? So okay. Okay, so I think student planning to become a freelancer. Okay, that's great. All right, so great. Thank you so much, folks. I think we have finally run out of questions. It was our pleasure speaking with all of you. And I wish you the best, and do engage with my content on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. I'm quite active on Twitter these days as well. So feel free to tag me if you need my help anywhere. More than happy, right, helping out. And yeah, and hopefully, if you feel that, if there is like other some questions that I have not been able to answer, you can feel free to drop me a message on LinkedIn also. I will check it and I will respond. Thank you so much.